Zach, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm just trying to beat Devaughn Vele out here, catching the pass of the year like he did. I might just keep my arm like this the entire show because he caught a pass. His arm was even further out than mine. That was insane. And my guy James Palmer and me are going to break it down. Plus, Zach Wilson's great day, Jarrett Stidham's great day, Bo Nix's great pass. We're breaking it all down on the DNVR Broncos podcast starting now.
USA, USA, USA. This is wild here. Wild.
Welcome to the DNVR Bar, James.
Man, there is just a full bar here down there just openly rooting against the Stars and Stripes.
And
Unbelievable.
that is the DNVR, because you got Jokic on the other side.
Yeah.
You got the best player in the world on the other side, but I'm with you. And there is that struggle in Denver. Are you cheering for Jokic or are you cheering for USA? I'm with you.
It's not a struggle.
You got to cheer for your country.
There's nothing struggling
Okay.
about
and I agree.
this.
Yeah, in the Twitter chat, let us know, because of course we're the DNVR Broncos podcast.
And I read the chats.
Oh man, they're going to be coming after us for being patriotic, for loving our country, James. Just wait. And we are the DNVR Broncos podcast, coming to you live from the DNVR Bar, a packed DNVR Bar for the USA-Serbia game. And of course, we're sitting in the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. RK, you were going for Jokic or USA?
Oh my gosh.
He's going for
here?
Jokic.
This is blasphemy.
James can't believe it.
Do you like your country? Okay. Oh, plenty of
What,
goals.
six straight? I think 6 straight
Wow.
golds for the USA.
I
Something
will say
crazy
that
like
400 last night.
Oh my goodness.
God.
He
That
just-
was unbelievable.
He just turned on the NOS at the
I
end.
was like, wow, this is one of those instances in a race where a man's legs stop working.
Seriously.
Coming around the third turn, I was like, his legs are just not going to work anymore.
And somehow.
And now he's got COVID.
Oh, no
He
way.
tested positive for COVID, I believe, before the race.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah.
So you just add that as a cherry on
I
top.
think they
You did it
wheeled
with
him out
COVID.
like way
Oh
later, and
my
he's pretty
goodness.
exhausted.
James, what was more incredible, that or Devaughn Vele's catch?
Yeah, I've been covering this league like 12 years. That's up there in one of the best training camp catches I've seen
100 ever.
ever. Not Broncos, like any camp I've
Wow.
witnessed firsthand.
It's
One
probably
of
the best catch that
training
I've
camp
seen in
practices.
Broncos camp ever.
It might be.
Little OBJ-esque, maybe?
No.
You sure?
Let's be entirely clear. The Odell Beckham Jr. catch is the greatest catch in NFL history. And I don't even know if number 2 is even close.
I think we
to
saw
that
it today.
catch. Oh my god! There's also lefty.
Odell?
OBJ's.
Yeah, that's true.
There's also a flag on the play.
Didn't he have a glove?
Yeah.
He had a glove. Devaughn, I don't think had a glove.
Yes, he did.
He did?
Yeah.
Okay, probably. It was insane.
Very few guys don't wear gloves.
We have video that we're gonna get to later in the show, so you're gonna make sure to stay tuned for that. But
It was
James,
a great catch. Yeah.
Speaking of great, it was a great practice today.
Fun.
And talk about energetic, and it really stood out to you.
It did, because they switched fields, and so we were right there next to the facility, and we're being able to watch all these red zone periods, which is pretty much what they've mainly focused on today, which they've done a lot of.
Yep.
But the jawing back and forth between the offense and defense, you know what this reminded me of?
What's that?
Reminded me of year after year going down there to New Orleans and watching practice in that muggy heat and how they competed in everything under Sean Payton. One-on-ones versus wide receivers and DBs. They would almost go to blows like regularly. Guys would get pulled out of drills. Just hey, take 5. You're out of the drill because guys were getting so heated and competitive. This day today was such a Sean Payton in New Orleans day. Do you know why that stands out at me? because that shows me that he's starting to implement this culture here. This culture is starting to get picked up by the players of this competitive atmosphere. We compete in everything. Like every play, wasn't it? It was offense saying touchdown in your face with a lot of choice words, and then defense saying, no, we had the sack before the touchdown, so go suck it. Like back and forth every single play. I think this was a day for me that shows me that Sean is instilling his culture here, and it's catching on. Because this was New Orleans through and through.
I love that. And the energy was electric.
Oh, it was awesome.
Out there, the coaches were going back and forth with one another. Players are throwing flags on one another.
Yeah.
When Devaughn had his catch in the end zone, the entire offense ran over to him, even though there were still 2 more plays in that set for the quarterback.
Those type of plays stop camp. Like, seriously, they stop camp. And that's not just here. That's everywhere. That type of play happens. Like, coaches are cool with, like, the celebration. That's camaraderie. That's a rookie out there making the play of camp. Like, there's no problem with doing that. And I love, like, the entire offense being in the end zone with him after that catch. He brought it all the way in with one hand and went on his back with one hand. He never even used the other one.
Ground. No.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
It was.
In coverage.
And James, when you're saying that, it reminds me of the stark difference between this team right now and everything you're talking about and the team the Broncos had 2 years ago. And then last year was kind of a mix in between of those. 2 years ago, the Cowboys came to town for joint practices. And we remember on the defensive side, there were like fights every other play on the defense. On the offensive side, do you remember how Russell Wilson started the joint practice with the Cowboys?
Oh, I don't. Tell me.
He went over to the defense, to the Cowboys defense, and shook every single one of their hands.
What a sportsman.
What a sportsman. And
sportsmanship through the roof.
You know, there you go, sportsman. We'll call it that. And
hey, guys, ball out today. Hope we all win.
It was the total opposite today.
I'm rooting for football.
Exactly, yeah. Go NFL, go the brand. And it was the total opposite today. And because it's just ultimate competition. And I think Sean would have lost his mind if Russ would have done that in one of his practices last year. Obviously, that did not happen, but last year, it was still kind of that mix of the Nathaniel Hackett camp and what Sean wants to do and little Nathaniel Hackett's guys there and Sean's guys. And so you're right. Now it's mostly Sean.
It is. It's a lot of the guys he's brought in now. It's another draft class for him. It's more free agents that have come into camp. He's drafted more of his guys. What does this get you excited for? Does this get you excited for when the Packers come?
Oh, my gosh. Next Friday, joint practice?
I mean...
Absolutely.
I'm excited to see that because this is a team that wants to compete in everything. Every player I've talked off to the side and just kind of pulled over, hey, haven't seen you in a while, what do you think? Man, we compete in everything. And that was that period specifically, but the whole practice today. I had a long conversation with Jaquan McMillian, who's, I don't know, makes a play when? Every single
100%.
day.
Made one today?
Always made a huge PBU today.
Massive one.
What he said after the pass breakup was better than even the play, though. I can't say it on the show. But he was running across the field, saying it over and over again. It was a great play over the middle. Was it on little Jordan Humphrey, I think?
I believe.
Over the middle of the field in an end-of-game scenario.
Yep. Ended the game. Won it for the defense.
He has been outstanding. But he told me, like, man, the competitiveness of this, he's like, we talk a lot on defense. Like a lot, and we're not going to stop.
I love that.
And he's like, and you know what? I love when the offense talks back to us. He's like, I love it, man. So it's been growing. Today was kind of a culmination day for me because I had flashbacks of just sweating top to toe down there in New Orleans, just watching these guys go at it down there. And I think Sean's getting that here.
And when you're talking about a defense that is talking and a secondary that's talking, I get flashbacks not to sweaty New Orleans. I get flashbacks to the no-fly zone.
No, they talked.
And they talked, and they were dogs. And Justin Simmons has been the face of this defense for the past 7 or so years since the no-fly zone kind of moved on. And Justin was a fantastic face of a defense. But they embodied him, and Justin wasn't a talker. He wasn't a dog, and this defense didn't have that in them, and that was something that made that no-fly zone, that Super Bowl 50 defense, just so much fun and so dangerous, was that energy and mentality that they brought to games. And now we might have that back. And I absolutely love that, James. And speaking of joint practices, it also reminds me of another joint practice that the Broncos had when the 49ers came here 5-6 years ago, something like that. We were doing our podcast before practice, right there in the tents on the field.
Wow.
And the 49ers defense comes out. The linebackers are standing right in front of us, and they are getting hyped up like it's the start of the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. And Ryan and I looked at each other like, is everything okay? Like, what's going on here? Because we were used to just as calm and mellow of practices, no one getting hyped up. And these guys were so fired up. And then that year they go to the Super Bowl. And it's like, oh,
so you're saying the Broncos are going to the Super Bowl?
That's what I'm saying, exactly. Wow. But I'm saying, like, that is a contagious, such a powerful thing to see in training camp, and I think it's a great observation that you saw today.
Yeah, it really was. It reminded me of, I just have to say this, you probably weren't here for this, when the Texans came for joint practices.
Was not here.
In 14 maybe?
14? Okay.
I think so.
Yep, 10 years ago.
And DJ Swearinger, Jungle Boy Swag is what he used to go by, picked off Peyton Manning and took it to the house the other way. And I mean, Dion danced from like the 20 in.
Oh my goodness.
And Peyton started chasing him down.
Oh my goodness.
And obviously Peyton's not going to catch him, for one.
No.
But he started chasing him down, and it caused this huge fight. Because I know the whole Broncos team's like, well, Peyton's pretty pissed.
Right, yeah.
He's showing up Peyton Manning. This kid's just dancing for 20 yards, and all hell broke loose. But that was that. No-fly zone was there.
Oh,
they
my
were
gosh.
on that team.
Yep.
Talib was probably out there pulling chains.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was cool because you saw that team have Peyton's back. You don't show up the GOAT in that sense.
Right.
Jungle Boy Swag. I just got to say his name more because it's just awesome.
That is incredible.
I remember that. And so Sean's always wanted his team not only to have that, and he has it too, right? That swagger and that competitiveness. Like, we're not only going to beat you, but we're going to embarrass you type of vibe to him.
Yep.
He likes when his guys have it against one another in these settings. Like, he wants competition everywhere.
Yep.
And, man, we had it today. It was so fun.
Man, we had it. And when I'm looking at this defense, when you're talking, trying to figure out who these dogs are, who are the guys that are going to take this personality on, and who the Broncos should follow that personality of, we talked about him. Jaquan. I mean,
J-Mac, baby.
He's that guy, and he's that guy on the field, but I think he's becoming that guy off the field and around his teammates too, and that's exciting because that reminds me so much of Chris Harris Jr.
He has a lot of the same instincts, a lot of the same feel for the game, a lot of the same feel for space. I'm going to talk to Chris soon, so I'm going to kind of ask him his thoughts.
I love that.
You know my fascination with the nickel corner. Like,
Yep.
the slot corner is like one of my favorite positions, if not my favorite position in football.
Yep.
Everything you have to do in that spot. I told Jaquan today, I was like, bro, like, your position's finally getting paid.
Yep.
And he's like, I know, right? Because, like, Kenny Moore got paid, and was it Taron Johnson got paid, and we're starting to recognize as a league that this guy needs to play linebacker, this guy needs to play inside corner, and we were joking, like, he's not joking that Pat has help, but he's like, Pat's got the sideline as another defender. I got the whole route tree in the middle of the defense, and I got to do all these different things. What he is really enjoying doing, we talked about this, and he's getting really good at it, is blitzing.
Yes.
And he told me, he's like, I didn't really blitz in college.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't really blitz from the corner spot. And if you have a corner that can hide it, there's some guys in this league that are really good at it. Trent McDuffie with the Chiefs is really good at it. Antoine Winfield Jr. from the safety spot, but he plays a lot on the inside down in Tampa Bay. He might be the best at it as in terms of hiding themselves, and the rest of the defense hiding them, that there's no tell, and you make a play in the backfield. How many times have you seen J-Mac do that? Is that a cool nickname? Is that what he goes by?
I like that.
He goes by that, right? I don't know.
A ton.
He's been in the backfield over and over again.
And not just on sacks, but on tackles for a loss.
Tackles
in the
for
run
loss.
Game.
It's how he reads it, how he hides where he's, you know, some of the stuff he shows and then drops, and like, he's really getting a really good feel for that spot. And that is the second really quarterback of your defense, along with the safety. Like, there's a lot of teams that think that, because there's a lot that plays off of that player. And what they do and how they play the rest of the secondary off of that nickel corner. And what happens, he's making calls up there. Like, he's doing some things for this defense. He is so comfortable, it looks like, in that spot.
Yep.
That's a really, really great need. Now you got like a really good inside guy. You got the best outside corner in football.
Yep.
And you're trying to figure out the third spot. That puts you in not a terrible position corner-wise.
No, puts you in a really good position, which then helps out your pass rush, which then helps out your safeties. And so it is huge to have two of those guys really figured out. And it's such a similar story to Chris. Just an undrafted guy that all of a sudden is like, oh my gosh, you're a star. And that's, I think, what the Broncos have there. Speaking of stars,
oh, here we go.
the quarterbacks were stars today, James. And not just one of them. Two of them? Two of them. Let's talk about it after I give a shout out to our friends over at Indeed, where over at Indeed, if you need to hire, you just go to Indeed.com/All-City, where they're going to give you a $75 sponsored job credit. And why you go over to Indeed is they have 350 million people that are looking for jobs over there. Just a ton of people. 350
It's
million
more than my
visitors.
10,000 I said
Yeah,
before.
just a tiny bit more. Global monthly visitors where you can hire candidates fast, but also they did a study that found that 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. So not only do you get to hire fast, you get to hire right. And you can leverage over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day to find your exact fit. So head over to Indeed.com/All-City to get that $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility over at Indeed.com/All-City. And if you need to go somewhere, you need a Toyota to take you there. And our friends over at Toyota have so many locations in the Front Range area. Of course, they have so many locations all across the world. But if you're looking to get a Toyota in Colorado, there are so many at your fingertips. Whether you want the Supra sports car, whether you want the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck, whether you want to cheer on America, because I believe they are the official car of not just the NFL and DNVR, but they are the official car of the USA Olympic team. And you can get 17 different models with all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive like the Epic 4Runner. So if you need a new car, visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR. All right, James, when we talk about these stars at the quarterback position, where do you want to start?
We'll start it, as we always call him, Steady Stiddy.
Steady throwing tutties today.
Yeah, tutties. Yeah, a lot of guys call him tutties. I never really liked the name tutties.
No? What'd you
No.
think of Nathaniel Hackett's Tugalicious?
No.
No, that one got buried.
No.
Not
stinks.
very many of those.
Like Gronk uses tutties a lot.
That's definitely a Gronk word. I can see that. You think
Yeah.
Tom uses tutties?
Tommy? Yeah, he uses tutties.
He does.
Yeah.
Those two are kind of a pair.
Yeah. I
Whatever you
posted
do,
a picture on Instagram today. It was a flashback 4 years ago. Today I posted this picture of this antique couch. And it was in the Airbnb I stayed in for 34 days.
Oh my gosh.
In Tampa during COVID, so I could cover Brady during training camp. I got sent down there, and I had this old lady's house. It said "gorgeous, hello, gorgeous" above the bed.
Oh my gosh.
It's like all this old, like 90-year-old woman antique furniture. I just lived in this house by myself for like 34 days, just watching Brady every day down in training camp. So yeah, I heard a lot of Tommy Tutties and Gronk Tutties.
Was that his first year?
Yeah, it was because remember it was COVID,
Right.
And that was his first training camp with
Wow.
Tampa. It was awesome because there was only like 6 of us or 7 of us that were allowed at training camp.
Yeah.
I tested every day with the team, like literally with the team.
Yeah.
And I was standing right on the sideline and just watching Brady just like mold that team into his team through training camp.
Yeah.
That's like a fly on the wall. It was pretty rad to watch.
Kind of
watch
like
him
you're seeing
work.
Sean mold this team into his team.
Hey, those two really love each other.
So you're saying Super Bowl?
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
2 times that we've been able
Yeah,
to
we
say
have.
Super Bowl for the Broncos
Yeah,
this
hey,
year.
ask Sean and Tom if they've ever wanted to play together before.
Miami? Should I ask Miami? The Dolphins?
Yeah,
or?
are you allowed to talk about it? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so steady touchdown, steady today.
Yeah, he was He was slinging it today.
He was.
He was slinging it today. He's the one who threw the ball to Vele but he was also, let's be honest, sacked by Baron Browning. Maybe maybe injured for the year.
Yeah.
Baron Browning, free rusher, comes wide open, and the play continues obviously in these setting. But Stidham was really, really good today. Drove the ball into some tight spots. Was decisive in some of those red zone parts. I think in 7-on-7, what do you have? 4 straight or 3 straight? Or was that in team?
That was
in team.
Which is
Zach,
even
we'll
more
get to Zach.
important.
He was 7. Yeah, Zach's was in team, but he was kind of dicing up the defense a little bit. Now again, a couple of these in my notes, there were some sacks.
Yep.
The first 2 actually were both kind of sacks, but they were both touchdowns. But listen, he threw the ball really, really well today. I thought he was the best quarterback on the field today. His 2-minute was strong. Yeah. Come on, man.
My goodness.
Come on. Come on.
Those cheers
USA?
should be for the USA.
Oh, man, those are not USA cheers. Yeah.
And like you're saying, in the red zone period, they started at the 7, had to play from the 7, play around the 4, then the 3, then the 2. Stidham went 4 for 4 with 4 touchdowns, including that incredible catch by Vele. But he also hit Mims in the middle of the field. He hit Bandy in the flat, which was a touchdown. And some of those were pretty open passes, but he was finding the right guy to go to. And now Henry, when he's on, would say, okay, yes, he did have 4 touchdowns on 4 passes, but you do have to or acknowledge that it was only from 7 yards out. And while I see his point, what did Sean say about the Broncos' red zone offense last year? Yeah, that's exactly what he interrupted the question to be like, it's awful.
No, it's awful. That's what he said. He goes, no, it was awful.
And how important is the red zone
for this team?
For any team, but yeah,
for
this
any team. And then I was thinking about it for this team.
Yeah,
because I think this team is better than most people nationally think they are. Now that I've been at camp for the duration I've been there, they have a solid middle class, I think, and I was talking to Philip Lindsay at practice today. We were joking around about this, kind of if 5 of those guys make the jump, that. This is how good teams are built. Out of the draft picks that you have and young players you have in year 2, year 3, you see a jump from a player. What if Greg Dulcich takes that jump and stays healthy like everybody's waiting for? What if Marvin Mims takes that jump like everybody is thinking he may do? We saw Quinn Miners already be one of those type of guys that makes that jump. What if Baron Browning all of a sudden becomes a very borderline top tier pass rusher? You need those things to happen for this roster to grow. But I think they have a good team and a good coaching staff, which I told Phil, I was like, they're gonna be in a lot of games. I think they're gonna be in almost every game. I think they're gonna lose, I hate to say it, the majority of those games. Because when push comes to shove at the end of games, stars make plays.
Right.
Your $35 million receiver makes a play. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Your $60 million quarterback, it's not there yet, but we're on the verge, makes a play.
Yep.
Broncos don't really have that right now.
Right.
And that's when, it's all on the line. A guy just goes out and wins a play. They have probably, let's just be honest, a less of a chance to make those plays because the talent level is a little bit different in terms of that elite group on this team compared to some other teams. But I think they're going to be in all these games. The way to win these is you got to capitalize in the red zone. You can't be kicking field goals down there because you're going to be in a boatload of close games. I think Sean can scheme these guys open. You got a good staff with good players, good NFL players. So every time you get to the red zone, you have to score with this team. I think that's the way their season's going to go. If they don't score down there, I think those will be losses. If they do score down there, it grows exponentially for them because I don't know if they're going to get a lot of explosive plays this year.
It's such a good point, and you look at the playmakers that they have.
Yeah.
Greg Dulcich might be their most explosive playmaker on the offensive side of the ball that we've seen in camp. Actually, that we've seen in camp, he is the most explosive playmaker. And you hope, I'm touching wood, you hope that you can count on him, but you don't know if he's going to be there for 17 games.
I would say that he probably is. Joe called him that today, right? He's an explosive player for us. We're excited for him. I think Court has done it. He's he can make plays in the red zone that can get you into the end zone. He's got a track record and proven he can do that.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to manufacture probably some points down there. I hate this. This stinks. I don't like this one bit. you're going to have to manufacture points down there. You are. And you got to make sure you find different ways to put the ball in the end zone. And that's why they were showing, throwing the ball down there. I think Estime's going to have a big role down there as well. Javonte had a catch. It was 7-on-7, but a great ball on a wheel route from Zach Wilson.
Yep.
We'll get to Zach in a second. But, if he can be a receiving threat down there, and you go 2-back sets or something to do different looks, I just think they're going to have to find ways to probably be creative and score in the red zone. And that's why there's been such an emphasis on red zone in this camp.
And I trust Sean Payton to be able to be creative and use his personnel. Right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to this, James, that's why I put even maybe more emphasis on the red zone, is because of everything you said. And so when Jarrett Stidham goes out there in a team period against the top defense and goes 4 for 4 with 4 touchdowns, I tip my cap and say, hell of a day. And so let's give our scores out today.
Okay.
James, where are you going?
I'm going to go with a 7.5 for Jarrett Stidham. I think that's the highest score I've given so far.
Impressive. That's an incredible score. And let's see Henry and my score. I went 7.5 as well. James, you and I
Henry
are
with a
tied.
9.
Henry with a 9 for Stiddy. That is the best score that has been given out, and I understand it. So we talked about Stidham having 4 passes for 4 touchdowns. That's incredible for any quarterback to do. What if I said 2 quarterbacks did that in today's practice, James?
Yep.
Oh my goodness, and this is how Zach Wilson started practice off in the 7-on-7s.
Mm-hmm.
He went 4 for 4.
Yeah. Oh, do you want me to chime in there? I'll tell you.
No, I can do it. And this was actually a little more difficult, starting at the 25-yard line.
Yeah.
And I love Zach's mentality. I think first one 25-yard line, then the 18, then the 15 and the 10 or something like that.
And you could see a little swagger as he was throwing these. It was cool. You could see a little swagger in it. The first one was Tim Patrick?
Yep.
Touchdown.
Yep.
I thought that was, I made a note here that he was his 3rd read. And it was kind of
huge.
And it was it was low to high. So it was kind of low. It was here, and Tim in the corner.
Yep.
So I thought that was kind of impressive. He went through them really quick and
Yep.
threw the touchdown to Tim. And then obviously I mentioned the Javonte wheel route that
Yep.
came around the outside. They've been impressed that he's catching the ball a little bit better.
Yeah.
And that he adds that to his repertoire. I'm not taking him off the field a bunch. Because I think he's the best back out of the group.
Yeah.
Obviously you're gonna take him off, but it's gonna be harder to if he starts catching the ball better. And then what? It was what was the next one?
He hit he hit Brandon Johnson for a 10-yard touchdown.
Yep.
And that was just a strike, and it was a great play by Brandon to get some separation.
So this wasn't 4 straight though, because
it was 3.
He threw the incompletion
to Kroll.
But I do think that was a good ball.
It was.
Kroll turned around in kind of a weird manner. There's a little tug on his side. I think if he would have been a little bit more fluid in going back for where the ball was placed, where it had to be placed too.
Yeah.
He did. Zach almost killed a kid in the family tent too with that ball. I don't know if you saw it. That thing skipped right in and right over this kid's head.
If anyone's going to do it, it's Zach because of how much arm power he has.
No, everybody on this team's got elite arm talent, and so that was another good throw.
Yeah,
for sure.
It was,
then the Brandon Johnson.
It was a great throw. And you could, like you said, Zach was getting some swagger. And James, to me,
he was feeling a little bit today.
I love the way Zach is now approaching this. He was throwing more deep balls than any of the other two, but he was still being very safe with the ball. He wasn't throwing interceptions. He has 2 interceptions in camp. Jarrett Stidham has 1. Bo Nix, I believe, has 2. So, he's just right in there with those guys. But now, I think he's realizing, okay, I'm 3rd on this depth chart. I was just asked by the media how it feels to be 3rd on the depth chart, the unofficial depth chart that's not actually unofficial because he's 2nd. And I think he's saying, I'm going to go down swinging if this is how it's going to go.
Yeah.
And he's going down swinging, and the best way he's connecting on all of these. And I thought the rest of his practice was very solid. In that team red zone, his very first pass was a touchdown. Then he had another one that I think was dropped, and then 2 other incomplete ones. But that was more than Bo did in those red zone periods and in 7-on-7. So, James, I think Zach Wilson earned the 2nd best spot. He earned that silver on the podium today, in my mind. Do you agree?
I do agree. I had a 6.5 for
6.5
for Zach Wilson
for Zach.
today.
Let's pull up our scores for Zach. James is going 6.5. There's ball Jarrett Stidham.
There's ball Jarrett Stidham. Just always pull that up every so often.
That is Stidham's score. Can we get Zach Wilson's score, please? I went 6.5
Okay,
as well,
6.5.
James. Look at us,
Like
right?
it.
In lockstep. Henry
Right there.
went a 5.
Henry didn't like it today.
There. And James, let's talk about Bo Nix's day before we get into Vele's catch and then some other things that went down in practice, and then also what we're looking for in this preseason game. Let's dive in to quarterback Bo Nix after I give a shout out to our friends over at Circa Sportsbook. We're over at Circa Sportsbook. That's where the serious bettors go because they give the best lines out. They strive for all of their games to be minus 110 splits instead of minus 115 or minus 120, meaning you get more money back when you place a bet with them than over at other sportsbooks. Also, they have high app limits and they're transparent about their bets. Circa does not limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limit, unlike other books who do limit players who are winning. So if you're good, Circa is the place to go. And all aspects of their app are being run by the same team that runs the main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, which is really cool. Gives you the best lines, most up-to-date lines as well. So if you want to get in on the action, download the app at circasports.com to make your bet. You must be physically located in the state of Colorado, must be 21 or older, all rights reserved. Circa Sportsbook Colorado encourages you to gamble responsibly. If you have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER or visit problemgamblingcolorado.org. And James, from the sound of it, I think there's a lot of Coors Lights flowing down at the DNVR bar right now. As a lot of people, a lot of Jokic jerseys down there. And so if you want to celebrate Serbia or the USA, let's go USA. Grab a Coors Light, which is brewed right in our backyard.
Where's that Coors Light brewed?
Right here in Golden, Colorado.
That's in the
United States.
of
Yes,
America.
exactly. Grab a Coors Light where everything about it is meant for chilling. Whether you're chilling watching a game, chilling after getting home from work, chilling with friends, chilling after 15 straight days of 90 degrees. Coors Light is meant for that. So it's bottled cold, it's brewed cold, and then lets you know on the bottle that it's ready for drinking because the mountains turn blue when it's cold. And if you want it delivered straight to your house, go to CoorsLight.com/DNVR.
Delivered
Celebrate
straight to your
responsibly.
house?
Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. What is happening, James?
Serbia's playing great.
Are they winning?
Yeah, they're winning. They've been up for a while.
Oh my goodness. The fall of the U.S.? We can't have it, James.
No, we cannot.
We can't have it. Oh my gosh.
I can't do anything about the score of the game.
They're kind of pulling away. But you know what you can do something about?
65-59.
Wow. You can tell us about Bo Nix's day. Was he the third best quarterback on this roster today?
He's not the third best quarterback on the roster probably, but today he was in the scores that we give. His will be the bronze medal. Something the United States is trying to avoid with their working their way towards. The other two just and I said this to you before the show started. It's not like Bo played bad today.
No.
The other two just had standout days.
Yep.
Like the other two just had really, really good days.
Yep.
And it wasn't like Bo didn't throw any picks. It just wasn't as good as the other two. That's really all it comes down to.
100%. And we talked about the highlights for the other two where Zach Wilson goes 3 for 4 with 3 touchdowns in a 7-on-7 red zone period. Jarrett Stidham goes 4 for 4 in a team red zone period. I thought the highlight from Bo was a little different. It wasn't like lighting up the stat sheet. It was a play where they were at about the 25-yard line. He snaps the ball, and there is Jonah Ellis, I think coming untouched off the left side, sprinting right at Bo Nix, and he's able to get this pass off to find Blake Watson, who's wide open on the left sideline, catches it, he strolls in for a touchdown. And so it was a touchdown pass, 25-yard touchdown pass, but I thought it was more so the quick decision-making, the ability to find the open receiver right there. He obviously knew that Blake Watson, if there was pressure, that Blake Watson was going to be open. So I thought it was a great display of Bo processing extremely fast under pressure.
Yeah, it's funny when you were saying that. It reminded me of my notes here, because I'm looking at it, it's like, well, it's a short, I think, touchdown to Troy Franklin.
Yep.
In this red zone, and then Jonah Ellis came and got a sack, but the play continued, and then he threw a ball to the front corner of the end zone, and Riley Moss had a PBU. So the defense got a sack and a PBU on the same play, which is tremendous. And then the next play PBU, and that was the end of his turn for that period on his 4 balls. I'm looking at that going like, Were his options limited? Was he trying to squeeze the ball into a little bit of a tighter spot? Obviously, everything's a little bit tighter down there in the red zone, so there's just less room to work with. But the DBs had their hands on almost every one of those balls.
Yeah.
I think this defense is playing a little bit better right now. I think they're playing pretty good. And so I think that plays a part as well. Whoa. You cannot say, do you believe in miracles about a team that is looking to beat the United States? That's just blasphemy. Al Michaels won't have it. I don't think that's appropriate. I like your shirt, but you just can't say that statement
right now.
You just can't say that sentence on a team looking to beat the United States.
I think that's a fair point.
I think Al has done too much. He might be sleepwalking through Thursday nights, but he's done too much. I still love him. He's the best.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he is.
I think, as we stated this, as we'll give our scores, like it's just, he didn't play as well as the other two. The other two played better. And it's more about the way they played and less about Bo coming up short, honestly.
Yep, exactly. And there was one thing that I didn't like about Bo today. He in 7-on-7, so I don't weight it as much. He was almost picked off. He threw a pass trying to get to Lil Jordan Humphrey in the front corner in the end zone, and it was jumped by 35, who, man, it hit his hands, probably should have caught it. The other quarterbacks did not have any turnover-worthy plays today. That would have been the only one there. But I agree. I thought Bo was still above average.
Still above average. And I see on here, like it says, feel like Stiddy would have been sacked on 2 of his CDs. We totally said that. Yeah, he would have been.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them he would have been sacked on. There were some free rushers today.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Some guys came free.
Yeah, and well, let's give our scores, because I want to give a shout-out to one of these free rushers, and I think you're going to like who I give a shout-out to, because OH.
Oh, let's go. Well, you got a good chance of picking an Ohio State Buckeye pass rusher. I'm going 5-5.
Oh, my gosh.
For Bo Nix.
I think we might have given the exact same scores. Let's see what I gave Bo. I went 6, just a little bit higher. Henry went 4, 2, 5. Yeah, he is a hard grader today on Bo and Zach. So, James, you and I both thought he was above average, but one of the guys just wrecking this offense throughout camp, but really today.
Real quick, before you get there, this is one thing of it. He took a really bad sack in end of game.
It was very bad.
I mean, we're talking about sacks and we're nitpicking, and some of that red zone is the play is going to continue because you have to. A little bit different setup for the way it went, but it was Matt Henningsen.
Yeah.
And Sean actually made a point to stop afterwards, and we cannot take a sack there. We just anything we do, we can't take a sack there. I will say this: he got there pretty quick up the middle. A little less on Bo, a little more on the offensive line.
Sure.
But Sean did make a big point, like that end of game right there. There's no way we can take a sack, and Bo did.
And I'm happy you brought that up, because the end of game situation, Stiddy and Bo both got the opportunity. Unfortunately, Zach didn't get the opportunity. Starting at the defense's 41-yard line, end of half situation.
And then Sean would change it to end of game, middle of the drive.
Yeah, just to throw everyone off. So they're at the defense's 41-yard line. 38 seconds left. They have a timeout. The defense has a timeout. The one thing you can't do is take a sack. The one thing you can't do is throw a little dump pass in the flat where they get tackled for a gain of nothing. You can throw a pass 10 yards downfield in the middle of the field, get the first down, go up and spike it. You can do that, but you cannot afford a play that doesn't get any yards, that keeps the clock running. You can throw an incomplete pass. That's okay, because it stops the clock. But you're right, and we talk about how Bo has been doing such a good job of not taking sacks, and really Zach Wilson's the one that's been struggling with that in these important situations. Bo took that, and you said how they typically like to let plays continue. They didn't let this one continue. They just blew it dead right away, and like you said, Sean said, we cannot have that happen. But in these situations, Stidham got to right around the 47-yard line, 4th and 4 from the 47. That's how Jaquan McMillian was acting after he had the pass breakup.
He had some more choice words.
Yes, he did. He did. And then Bo got the ball to the 45-yard line, and then play just stopped there. So I think Sean said, okay, 5 seconds left. We're kicking a field goal?
I guess. It was tie game, wasn't it?
62-yard field goal. They were down three because he had switched it at this point.
He changed it again.
To being down 3
I do kind of like that, though.
Game.
Like in the middle of the drive, he's like, okay, now. All right, now it's end of game.
Yeah.
And he just flips on, which you do have to kind of mentally change pretty quickly and kind of go, okay, well, now what should I be thinking about?
Right.
X, Y, and Z with this. It's kind of cool that he does that because on the fly, then you're having to think, all right, well, now what's kind of my, what do I have to check down the list here and making sure we do this, and this, specifically for the quarterback when he changes it.
Right,
yeah.
100%.
Kind of cool.
Any final thoughts on the QBs?
No, it's been fun. Like I think there's no question after today. Like Stidham's gonna start this game.
Yep.
What?
I was gonna say let's talk about that because we were told on Tuesday and Wednesday that they were going to know who it was. And then Sean said, I'll let you guys know tomorrow who's going to start the preseason
And they knew
game.
he wasn't going to talk to the media.
And then he didn't talk to the media. So Joe Lombardi gets up. You think Joe Lombardi is going to tell us who's starting?
You think Joe knows all of Sean's tricks? He's like, we haven't even talked about it. We'll do it this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm calling. I think they talked about it. I think they know, but Sean just wants to announce. So we don't officially know. But James, as you were saying, Stidham's likely going to start.
Yeah, this is the way it's gone. And I think we've seen throughout this week, Stidham will get the start. I think my assumption this whole time has been Stidham gets the start in this one, Bo gets the start in the second one, and then they make their decision at quarterback.
Yep.
I don't think you make your decision at quarterback after this first preseason game if Bo doesn't run with the ones.
No.
Like, I don't know how you would go and make that decision.
The only way you make that decision if you're naming Stidham the starter.
Yeah, and I don't think they're going to do that.
No.
I think they're going to wait till after the second preseason game. I think Bo's going to get his chance to run with the ones in that second one, and then they're going to make their decision after that second preseason game. Because I will say this, I've talked to some guys on that side of the ball. Like, they understand the competition is going on. They like a decision sooner than later.
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of like, we want to know who our guy is.
Yeah.
But also, I think they would, if you asked them, they'd say, like, well, I don't know if a guy's really separated himself yet.
Right.
Because I don't think somebody's separated. Like, there's nobody out there going, like, that's the one, the other two are there, that's the start. That's not the way this camp has gone. So those guys on that side of the ball do understand that, but they do want a decision sooner than later, and I get that. But I think it's not going to happen until after the second preseason game.
I totally agree. I think that's exactly how it's going to go down, James. So what are we looking for before we get into Baron Browning? What are we looking for from the quarterbacks in this game?
I like Jess's question here. Does our O-line look bad? They give up a lot of sacks, apparently. This is something we should keep an eye on in camp. Is the defense playing a lot better up front?
Yeah.
And we should be excited? Or is this expensive offensive line not what we're hoping it to be?
Yep.
You're looking and trying to evaluate two position groups on the same team and try to see where it's at. That's why we do love the preseason games, the joint practices, and see where they're at. Because also at this point in camp, the defense is getting an idea of some of the stuff the offense is running.
It's a really good point.
So you can get a little bit of a jump. You can get a little bit of a jump on some of the things coming off the edge because you've been going against this offense now day in and day out for a while.
It's a really good point.
Yeah, right? So, like, you do get a little bit of maybe an extra burst. And I don't find this – I think this defensive line is going to be much improved. I think guys are playing really well in that group. I've talked to some guys on that side of the ball, and they're like, you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised by the way they play up front. Like, they can play. But it's not like it's like DeMarcus Ware and Vaughn Miller and Malik Jackson and Derek Wolfe up there. Like, I don't think it's like that, but I don't know. Maybe they end up playing that way, and we're seeing it for the first time in camp. It makes you a little concerned about the offensive line.
Isn't that the $1 million question in every single camp? Probably in every single, all 32 teams is either our offensive line this good or our defensive line this bad or flipped around.
Yeah, you could say the exact same thing on, like, none of these quarterbacks are throwing picks. You're like, awesome, they're protecting the ball. Are we going to get any turnovers this year?
Right.
Like, is anybody going to make a play on a ball and pick something off? Like, it's the same way with those two that you're looking at it.
Through almost 3 full weeks of camp, though, James, I'm kind of with your very last sentence. I'm getting a little worried about the offensive line because regardless of what quarterback you have back there, all three are pretty mobile, but you're going to need to give them time. And what I've seen, this offensive line looks very dominant in the run game, which, again, fully hard to tell in training camp, and very shaky in the pass game. So that's honestly, outside of quarterbacks, that's the number one thing I'm looking for in this game is, okay, is the defensive line this good? How good is the offensive line here when you're going up against different guys? And they're going to be scheming just a little bit.
Exactly. And you're also going to remember, like the way this camp has gone, this is a run period.
Right.
This is a pass period.
Tee off.
This is, you know what's coming. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to be I mean, you're going to try to be disciplined because you want to try it to be game-like as a guy in that front seven. But it's only human nature. Like, I also want to make plays.
Right.
I know this is a passing period. I'm getting downhill.
Yep.
So I think we'll get a better feel for the offensive line once it's in a game mode where you have the ability to. They don't know if you're running or passing. They don't know if it's play action. They don't know, and a defense up front has to be a little bit more disciplined.
Right.
I think the game will give us a little bit better feel of where that group is up front, and they do have a big piece in the middle that they're still trying to figure out, which is at the center spot.
And that's one where, like you said about the quarterbacks, like, come on, let's pick one soon. The center, you got to pick one soon. I want at least that second preseason game with the full offensive line. Now, they won't play the whole game, but I want them to be operating together for as long as possible because we hear it time and time again like, oh, man, the continuity was huge. That's what we heard about the Broncos offensive line. That's why they started to play so much better the second half of last season because they had 8 games under their belt when it was the exact same unit. They had the exact same unit for all but one game last year.
Which is insane and does not happen in the NFL.
No, it
which
does not.
also makes me a little fearful of this group. We saw when Garrett Bowles was out the other day how difficult the left tackle spot looked.
Yeah.
I think they're like some other teams that, like, if somebody goes down on that offensive line, they're in some trouble.
Yeah.
Houston's kind of that way right now. Really good team, maybe Super Bowl aspirations. Somebody goes down on that offensive line, they're in some trouble. That's the case some teams are in. Hopefully Denver doesn't have to deal with that, but everybody usually does. They didn't have to deal with it last year. I think they need to. It's a big group we're looking at on Sunday for sure.
Speaking of a big group we're looking at, the other thing that I'm looking for,
What?
Audric Estime. I want to see how these running backs look, all of them. Not really Jaleel. I should say I want to see how the big guys look.
Oh, dude. You don't think that guy's out there stoked to just smash some people?
Oh, my goodness. He's already
been
doing
like
it.
towing
Yeah.
the line throughout all of camp where he's just like sneaking in little just pop shots on everybody. I think that guy might be more excited than anyone to get out there in a game atmosphere for
Without
sure.
a doubt.
He's going to be a great guy to watch on Sunday.
So much. And he's probably going to play a decent amount.
throughout the preseason because he's going to play.
Yeah.
He's going to definitely play.
And then Javonte, I want to see how he looks in a game because he does look good. And like you said, he's adding some elements to his game.
Yeah.
He looks a lot faster. I want to see if that power, that explosion, that pop when he hits someone, if he's still falling forward. I think that's going to be the case, but we truly have no idea right now. So I'm looking for those two big guys. And then, James, I'm also looking for playmakers. Can we see anyone step up? And when we talk about playmakers, the playmaker today was Devaughn Vele. Let's just go through this catch.
Yeah, I want to see you describe it.
Okay, so think of OBJ. Better than OBJ. No, I'm just kidding. So Jarrett Stidham on the 5-yard line. Again, we'll play this clip in a little bit. Baron Browning right in Stidham's face, right off the jump. So he just throws it up there to Vele. He's, smothered coverage from PJ Locke.
Really good coverage.
So he's kind of facing in. To catch this ball, he has to completely turn his body around, use his right arm, full extension, as extended as you can be, and it's like the ball just stops on his hand, full extension, then he's in the air. So
He's landing on his back.
And his feet are not going to save him. He lands straight on his back, brings the ball in, and it held on to it, no problem. And PJ Locke is a guy that can talk too. And he was silent after, just could not believe what happened.
Yeah, it stopped practice.
Yeah.
That's how good the play was.
Yeah.
It stopped practice. Now we've talked about Baron Browning is bearing down on him. It's going to be a sack. But look at this as like one-on-one making a play in the red zone like we've talked about.
Yeah.
Because this ball was just thrown up.
Yeah.
And that's going up and making a play. He has some court to him. Might be a little bit better athlete, maybe. He's definitely like a strider. He's a long strider. But for a rookie, as quickly as he gets off the line of scrimmage, like with his release, that's what's wowed these DBs in Denver here at camp. They're like, his releases are like, that's not like what most rookies come in with. Because as a college player, you don't face a whole lot of press. You don't face a whole lot of ability getting off the line of scrimmage. He can release really well and then get get downfield. I think there's some people I think this kid's going to be a player. And imagine that. That's what I'm talking about when you're building this team and you're building this culture. What if he becomes a legit player?
Yeah.
What if, he's one of those guys? And that's what you're trying to build.
Yep.
And the more of these guys, the better. This kid has really turned a lot of heads. I think he's going to make it difficult on the decisions in the wide receiver room with what he's doing. Because, there's people on that team that are like, oh, he's a lock. And that's how well he's played in camp already.
And, James, I'm going to go there. Devaughn Vele is a lock to make this team. And right now, he's a much better NFL wide receiver than Troy Franklin. And that is all compliments to Devaughn Vele. That's not a slight on Troy Franklin.
Exactly. And we talked about Troy yesterday, and everything that's on your plate and everything that you have to figure out mentally in the wide receiver position and all the different things. And we've seen Troy's camp kind of like this a little bit, right? I think this is no slight to him. It's more of a compliment to Vele of look at how he's been able to stack these days and make a play that you go to your notebook and you write it down every single day.
And that's one of the things. And that's the thing. We're talking about this one because it was one of the best catches that you've ever seen in any training camp. It's the best catch I think I've ever seen at a training camp. Mm-hmm. And we talked to Joe Lombardi after, and he goes, yeah, that was a fantastic play. But he's making plays like that almost every single day.
Yeah. And so it's if you can make wow plays, that's one thing. If you can be consistent, that's another thing. If every day you make a wow play, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's very good, especially when you have the size.
He's got the size.
And you have good enough speed, and then you have the tactician abilities of being able to get out of your breaks. That's huge, James. That's huge. So Yahir has the video from us. This was shot by a fan. Of course, we were right there next to it.
Yeah, this is the only day so far that they weren't right up against the fans.
Yep, exactly. And because this video is out here, wanted everyone who's watching on YouTube to be able to see it. Yahir is going to pull it up.
It's not working yet.
Do you need a second, Yahir? Okay, he needs a second.
He needs a second.
So let's talk about some other players, James. Baron Browning. We talked about Jonathan Cooper, yesterday? And Sean Payton named him a starter. I don't know if you caught that.
Oh, yeah, he's like, he is a starting outside rusher for us. He is our starting, edge rusher. He's been really physical. He never stops. And I think that's going to be kind of, if you're looking for people that are kind of like the faces of this defense, I think that motor for Jonathan Cooper is kind of be one of the identities of this defense.
Yeah,
he just never quits, ever. I would say maybe in terms of bend and athletic ability, Barron's probably above him in that. But there's a lot of things that Jonathan Cooper does with physicality and motor. And, we had 3 straight plays yesterday where he was in the backfield during team. I want to see both those guys. I want to see Nkoum. That's another guy, young kid that makes a play every day almost. Some sort of play. And so some of these guys are we've seen the flashes. If they make those flashes in a game as well, you're finding a roster spot.
100%.
That's how they're trying to find their way onto a roster.
Especially because if they're making flash plays on preseason, other teams are seeing all of that film. There we go. That's the hype we need, James.
I'm trying to pay attention to hosting this show, but
one other guy that I want to see. I want to see what happens with Eni throughout this preseason because James, he was in there. Eni Uwazurike, who got back from his suspension on Tuesday?
Yeah.
And that was his first practice back.
Sean said he knows more about the gambling policy than anybody.
He probably should, right? Yeah. He was making plays today. He was in the backfield. I think he even had a sack in one of the periods where they're starting from the 25 going in. So I don't know if he'll play. I would be surprised if he would play in this game. But in second and third preseason game, keep an eye on Eni because he could be big.
Let's go, Steph.
Did they take the lead? Is that another
they're
one
up,
from
baby.
Steph? Oh,
what's the score back there, guys? I haven't heard anything in a while.
Oh, wow, they're silent.
They're quiet back there.
They're completely quiet.
Quiet back there. Root against your country.
Blasphemy. Okay, so we actually have the video clip now of Vele. James, why don't you take us through what we're seeing here?
Oh, play by play? Well, this is a distance, and the screen's really small there. But I think we're all standing along that wall a little bit. I'm a little bit off screen to the left if you're watching this. There's the sack.
Yeah.
But woo!
Oh my goodness!
Fully stretched out, one hand, and he didn't even bring it in with two. It just was in one all the way to the ground.
Nope, never used his left hand.
Really good catch. And what they're realizing is the catch radius that he has.
Yeah.
And radius is just such a big thing, specifically down there and by the sideline as an outside receiver. That's all the stuff that you need down in the red zone.
Yep.
And he's kind of trying. And what does this do for your quarterbacks? Like, I'm going to trust this kid.
100%.
You're gaining trust as a rookie with your quarterbacks that quickly of like, no, you put it up there. I'm going to go get it.
Yep.
Like, that's huge for what he's doing. He's doing everything right in camp so far.
Yep, 100%. And when it comes to this conversation, I think Troy Franklin is going to make this football team.
Of course.
Because they want him for the long term. But I do remember a situation that Sean Payton reminded us a lot of last year. There was a year, and I don't remember who, but there was a year in New Orleans where he drafted a running back in the 4th round and a running back in the 7th round. And that 7th round running back outperformed the 4th round running back throughout training camp, throughout the preseason. And they didn't keep both of those guys. They cut the 4th rounder as a rookie and kept the 7th rounder. And that 7th rounder came to be a very good player for them. I don't think that's going to be the exact same situation, but Troy Franklin was a 4th round pick. Devaughn Vele, a 7th round pick. What I do think Sean's going to do is say, we'll keep both of them, but no, this 7th round pick is better than the 4th round pick right now. So you are ahead of him on the depth chart, and you will get more playing time.
And I think he has trust. And I think tell me if we talked about this before, like from ownership to like make those kind of calls.
Yeah.
Because essentially you're admitting like, we kind of missed on this 4th rounder as of right now. This is obviously a long game, but if you had a 2nd round grade on him and he was still there in the 4th, you look at it from one side going, that's a steal. If you flip it around over here and go, well, everybody else had a chance to draft him.
Yeah.
And if you had a 2nd round grade on him, why is he still available in the 4th?
That's a good point.
So there is that part of it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a bad player. There's there's some flashes out there for sure where he's made some plays. But I think if Vele's a better player right now, you play him.
Yep.
And it's the same thing like, was it Colston that he always brings up that they picked at the bottom end of the draft? Yep. And it took him a minute. His first year wasn't anything. And then he turned into a real receiver for New Orleans for some time. And that's where Sean, I think, is hinting at us where he doesn't really give up on some of these guys after a year.
Yep.
Like a little bit of it is the long play. I think Sean looks more at it like, how am I evaluating these players over the next 3 years, not just evaluating them for the draft.
Right. 100%, James. All right, before we get out of here, I want to ask you, James, what do you want to see from the quarterbacks in this game? From the quarterbacks in this game, because this is our last show before the pregame show, right before the first preseason game.
Okay, so I think you want to see them protect the football.
100%.
Because that's going to tell me two things. Okay, they've been good at protecting the football through camp, and no, the DBs can't get picks like the Broncos DBs. So I think that tells you one aspect of it. I want a really clean operation from Bo Nix. Like I want to see very few mental mistakes. I want to see checks at the line of scrimmage. I want to see him getting everybody into the right play. That is like number one in this first game for him. And I think he has a really good, if you talk to everybody in the building, really good grasp of everything pretty well right now. So I think he should be able to go out there, but then how does he change some things at the line, put them into some right, even if it's check into a run. I don't need to see bombs all over the place. I want to see him operate this offense. And then maybe out of Stidham, there's less of that because he should be able to do it because it's his second year in the system. So let's see him make a play or two. Like, I think that's a little bit with him. And obviously, Zach's going to take a shot. It's going to be awesome. But his confidence is growing. I'd like to see his confidence continue in that direction for Zach Wilson. Those are kind of the three things that I'm looking at.
I love it. You nailed it. You took the words right out of my mouth. That's what we're looking for in this game. And the final thing before we get out of here, well, first, hit us with a thumbs up if you're tuning in on YouTube. We really appreciate it. If you're listening on the podcast side and you want to see the Vele catch, go over to YouTube and tune in to about the final 55 minutes or so, and you'll be able to see it. And let's hit the super chats that we've got. First one from Rickard Bohr, who says, since it's the Olympics, who would win gold, silver, and bronze, and with their performance during training camp? Bridgewater, Russell Wilson, and Jarrett Stidham.
It's like a photo finish.
My goodness. Stidham, I think I'm going Russ as bronze. And the reason for that, Russ, as the kids would say, was mid in training camp.
I kept waiting for plays. I wasn't here every day because I was bouncing around the league.
It was the exact same thing every single day, James.
You weren't really getting...
No.
I weigh it like this. Like, what are you paying the guy?
Right.
So that what you're paying him is what you're expecting from him.
Right.
And if you're going to pay Russell Wilson that contract, I should be seeing some plays out there.
100%.
Well, you're paying Jarrett Stidham $5 million.
Yep.
I thought Teddy had a really good camp, the camp that he was here for.
Yeah.
I thought Teddy had a really good camp. So, what were our three? Or was it Russ, Stiddy, and Bridgewater?
Teddy. Yep.
I'll go Teddy 1, Stidham 2, Russ 3.
That's what I would do as well. And that's not how they were paid, James.
No,
either.
they weren't.
No,
Stidham made a good point.
not.
He's like, both Zach and Bo have made more in their rookie contract than me my entire career.
Not only that, you know how much Jarrett Stidham has made before this season starts? So right now in his career, $7 million. You know how much Bo Nix's signing bonus was?
What?
10. So technically his signing, he has more money in his pocket right now than Jarrett has made throughout his entire career, and that's not
Jarrett
including.
looks like someone that invests well.
He does, yeah, he does. He also makes $6 million in cash this year, so that'll really help take him up to 13 next year. All right, two more. First one from Super G or Triple G says, "Love you guys. Have a safe weekend." Thank you so much, Triple G. We really appreciate that.
Who won the game?
You have a great time as well. Oh, did the USA take it home?
The TV's kind of far away. I'm trying to see who won the game.
Man, everyone's being very quiet, not answering your question there, James. But with how the bar doesn't sound very loud. I imagine it's USA.
USA.
And on that note, Jess hits us with the super chat saying, "Small way to say thank you for the great content."
Oh, that's wonderful.
And James, thank you for the great
culture.
content. You rocked and rolled with me 3 days this
I did.
week.
It was a
really
struggle,
love
but
it.
we got through it.
You made it through, and we made it through to the Broncos' first preseason game. We're going to be doing a pregame show 10:30 a.m. on Sunday to lead off to that 11 a.m. kickoff. And don't forget, it's an early game. So don't sleep in on Sunday.
You can't wake up by 11 o'clock.
But you hit the bars the night before. James, you have a family now. You've been responsible for quite a long time.
Doesn't mean I don't rage, but I'm just saying, like, you got to get up.
There's some people in their 20s that might sleep a little bit longer.
Yeah, I did in my 20s a little bit longer.
There you go. And so thank you so much, James, for rocking and rolling with us. Broncos, a walkthrough practice tomorrow, so we're not going to be doing a show, but we'll be back Sunday morning, 10:30 a.m. on YouTube. Thank you, James. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you on Sunday.
USA.
We all silly like the mayor.